First, some water before we get into the topic of today. Which is, today I want to give you some tactical advice. So I've seen with a lot of people that I talk to, with my mentees, there's a recurring theme that's occurring. And that's, it's really hard to have efficient meetings. So in one of the lessons with the CTO that I was mentoring recently, we had this lesson on meetings, because here's the problem with them. They're most often done badly. So in my career, this is what I learned about meetings. It's very easy to add meetings, but it's very hard to remove meetings, especially if they're not yours. So if you're not organizing them. So what tends to happen, and this is even more prevalent where everyone's remote, so you cannot just go into somebody's room or he's sitting just right next to you and say, hey, let's discuss this, or I have a question. But you need to book a meeting, right? And the calendar, when you take a look at the slots on the calendar, it's 30 minutes minimum. So if you have something that should have taken 5 minutes, you're not booking a 5-minute meeting. You're going to book a 30-minute meeting, then you're going to discuss 25 minutes about random stuff, and then the 5 minutes at the end are going to be probably the useful, juicy stuff. So if you book a meeting that's 1 hour, what tends to happen is you will have the meeting for an hour. It's very rare that you actually cut it short. And that all comes down to preparation. So if you want to have efficient meetings, then you need to do a couple of things. So before we jump into how to have a better meeting, let's first discuss from the perspective of the CTO who is overwhelmed, has a new tech team, and is trying to expand. What can easily happen is, like, you need to mentor your new people. You need to talk to other departments. Something's always on fire, so people are booking your meetings. And because of this law that adding meetings is really easy, but removing them is really hard, they tend to grow up and take over your calendar. Until at some point, you're like, I'm not doing any actual work because I'm just sitting in meetings. And most of the time you're sitting in meetings and maybe you don't even need to be there, especially if you don't have anything to say. At the end of the meeting, you're just like, okay, I was just there. And the bad thing is, if you are on that meeting and you're doing something else, but you just have it on the side, then it would be better if you said, look, I don't have anything to contribute here. I have important work because I'm working on this thing. I'm gonna leave now, and if you need me, let me know, but I don't see value in being here, right? So you need to balance. You want to have efficient meetings. You want to attend only the meetings that are necessary, and you want to protect your calendar. You want to minimize the amount of time that you're spending in meetings, because you want to have focus time. And without focus time, and that's true for everything from a developer to the CTO, without focus time, you're not getting any work done. If you cannot have 3 uninterrupted hours as an engineer, as a CTO, you're not going to be able to tackle those high impact tasks that require focus, no interruptions, but just you and the problem, and digging in and crunching it, right? So now let's jump into how to have an efficient meeting. You need a meeting that has an agenda, and you need to steer it as it goes along, and you need to have outcomes. You need to ask yourself, what's the purpose? Why are we here? Why are we talking? And it goes 2 ways. If you're organizing the meeting, let people know in advance what to expect. Why are we there? What are we trying to decide? Give them some materials, let them know the agenda, the plan. On the meeting, a minute of small talk just to get everyone warm up is good, but then jump into the topic and guide the meeting so that you actually are navigating properly and getting to the outcome. And then write down what was decided. That's a super important one. Too often I see meetings organized like that. Somebody has a problem, let's jump on a meeting, you book an hour, you talk about the problem, and then everyone leaves and nothing changes. Because nothing was documented, there was no actions that are to be taken as a result of that meeting, so that everyone is just like, all right, good talk, let's go. I have another sorry guys, I have another meeting that I have to jump to. And then you jump on, people start jumping off, and you're like, all right, what did we decide? Not much. And then you're going to have another meeting and another meeting. So you're just wasting everyone's time. As opposed to when you have an agenda and you're like, okay, we need to decide, and you guide others inside that are participants of this meeting to a decision. And then you say, okay, who's going to take this? Right? And you summarize at the end. Okay, we decided we're going to do this. Joe's going to do this. Alice is going to do this. And you set up some sort of follow-up. And then when the meeting is over, send meeting notes. And say, this is where the topics discussed. This is what we decided. This is who's going to follow up. I'm going to do this and set a deadline. Let's meet again in a week. Follow up on that. And that's a good meeting. You have outcomes. If nothing changes as a result of that meeting, then that meeting was pointless. So those are the points. What was agreed, who will do it, how and when will we follow up? There's also different types of meetings. So you have daily check and you have tactical meeting. You have informal meetings where you're just hanging out because you want to get to know people. So it's important to know which kind of meeting it is. So, you keep the daily check-ins short. You have tactical meetings where you're just doing updates and you're like making sure that everyone is on the same page. You can have a meeting where you're deciding to course correct on an action or decide on the next step. There's meetings where people are brainstorming or getting feedback. So it's important to know what type of meeting it is so that you can steer the agenda in the right way. Yeah. So those are broadly the things that I think are really important when it comes to having an efficient meeting. Let's talk about scheduled meetings, because that's another point of contention that can easily happen when you're having recurring meetings. Or a thing that I see too often is the recurring meetings are especially dangerous because typically they involve too many people at the table. It's fine having the dev team has a 15-minute morning stand-up, let's say, to make sure everyone's on the same page and that they're aligned. But then you have, for example, we've all been on a meeting where you're a part of it, but you're just listening in, right? You don't need to be there, but it's just a recurring meeting. Somebody set it up, invited too many people, and now you're just sitting there every week and doing something else. Especially if everything is remote, it's so easy to do something else, and you can see it on people that they're doing this. And then I was like, Joe, what do you think? Yes, so I think, and they're struggling to find the words, right? Don't do that. Don't have, and that comes up to the standard that you want to have. You don't want to have bad meetings. You want to hold a high standard. You want to have efficient meetings, and you want to say no to a lot of the meetings that you're invited in. So here's a strategy that I recommend. For 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, Just record everything that happens, all the meetings that you are part of, and then categorize them. Are they useful? Are they a waste of time? Can they be improved? Are they absolutely not needed? And just categorize it. Just observe what's going on. Observe your calendar. And then you can start pruning them. And some meetings can be an email, some can be a Slack update. It's important. Some don't require your presence. And this is a big one. Like if you want to increase the amount of focus time, you need to get rid of distractions. And the meetings, the regularly scheduled meetings are the biggest point, the biggest source of just wasted time. You sitting there doing half work on the side while the people who actually need to be there, which are usually the people who are talking, are there discussing and you're just half working. So prune your calendar. Identify those meetings that provide no value. Get rid of them. Yes. Let's see if somebody's watching and they have a question. No comments yet. But if you have a question on efficient meetings, then let me know. I'm working up a little bit of a cold because, having young kids at home is kind of crazy when they go to the kindergarten and bring all kinds of stuff. So, yes. Is there anything else that I want to add around meetings? So we covered how to have efficient meetings. We covered but it's important to say no to bad meetings that are not providing any value. Here's tactical advice on how I learned to do this. First of all, you need to have a high standard for yourself to say, I want to have efficient meetings. And the meetings that you organize, you're going to hold to that bar. And very likely a lot of people in your company are not on the same level yet. They don't know what an efficient meeting is, and you will need to teach them. You will need to inspire them to follow your example. You want to do that in a way where you're showing them a better way, not that you're putting yourself above them and saying your meetings are shit, mine are the best, You're trying to show them the benefits of having structured meetings that are efficient and create value. One thing that so let's say you have a high standard for yourself. That means that you know what you want to be doing if you're not in a meeting. That helps you. If you don't have anything that you need to be working on, then it's very easy to say yes to a meeting and just get distracted. If you have something that you rank from strategic to tactical and you say, I want to be above this line, I want to be strategic, I want to work on as much as I possibly can on the hardest problems, then when somebody calls a meeting, you're like, I need to be working on this. Is it really important? You have a bar. And that's really, really crucial. When you have a bar and you say, yes, it's really important. Okay, let's discuss, let's solve the problem. If it's not really important, then it doesn't have to be a meeting, or it can wait. Or it can be an email. But you find a way. You can say no. Because you know what the better alternative is. I need to focus on the strategy. I need to focus on finding business value. I need to solve a problem in the team, right? The way to get rid of meetings that are recurring, or let's say you're invited to a meeting, you're not quite sure about the agenda, that's always a good thing. Like if somebody invites you onto a meeting but doesn't tell you why they need you, what the agenda is, ask them. Why are we having this meeting? What's the purpose? What's the outcome? What are we looking to solve? And a lot of times that will help them think, oh, wow, let's this is it. And then you can help them discover if it's really important or not, if it can be an email instead, or if it can fit into some regularly scheduled meeting. Second part is when you're actually on a meeting and you realize it's going on for some time, you have nothing to add, nobody's asking you anything, you're just sitting quietly. You're allowed to say and raise an issue like, why have I been called here? Oh, we need you for at the end. Okay, so then call me at the end. I don't need to be in for the whole discussion. I have this thing that I need to be working on. Again, if you don't have the bar to know what's more important than this meeting, then it's going to be hard to say, sorry guys, I cannot be here. If you know what you need to be doing instead, then it's easier, not easy, but easier to say, this is wasting my time. It's not productive for me to be here. I need to do something else. Do it in an empathetic way. A cool thing that I've seen in regards to the meeting is, not sure what company, but there was a company who decided, all right, you know what? For every person that you invite, they created a Google Calendar plugin. And as you're adding people, it calculates their daily or hourly rate and shows you the total cost of the meeting. So if you invite 5 people that cost 100 per hour each, and you are meeting for 1 hour, that's a $500 meeting, right? And that's a really cool way to visualize how expensive it is for the company for you to have a meeting. So people are just like I need Joe, I need Bill, I need Alice, I need Janice, and they just go click, 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 click. Yeah, all of them, go. Doing that is very destructive to those people's time because it's eating into their focus time. It's costing the company a lot of money, and if they don't absolutely need to be there, then it's a real waste. And it's really sad to see when a company degenerates into and grows a meeting culture where everything needs to be discussed in person, on a call, and nobody's doing work. Everyone's talking about solutions, but nobody's coming up with an action plan and then implementing that and coming back. So meetings are incredibly important and can be incredibly wasteful on the other hand. So it's important to have them efficiently in a way that protects your time for focused work. Because that's the key to success, is to have efficiency and focus and actions and then go from there, right? I think that's all I have to say today on efficient meetings. That's been some tactical advice. We're gonna do more of these lessons. Kind of enjoy that. I'll see you real soon. Take care.